The tournament is over, and boy, oh boy, what a fun month it's been. And we also have a pay-per-view to react to, which is what we are doing today. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to episode 59 of Under the Middle Rope. I am your host, Jose Taboada. And yes, our tournament has concluded. It reached its grand finale. And I say this again, I said it on social media. I'm going to say it again. Thank you so much for those who have voted. It's so much support, even if it's like, a 5-vote round or a 10. It wasn't low throughout the whole thing, but still, like, just a small amount of votes that we got, still greatly appreciated, and you guys helped contribute to that. So thank you so much. If you voted or shared it or retweeted it, such a blast. Of course, we do have to thank the man who helped create all of this, who will now react to the final and who's been here with us for the last 4 weeks. Of course, I'm talking about Mr. Pete Atkinson. Hello, Pete. How are you?
Hello. I'm good. It's just way too hot. Way too hot.
It's way too
England's
hot.
Too hot.
Yeah, you know what's hot? How I'm getting better at these intros in one take. Like, I have become a god in doing intros and outros.
Not at all like patting yourself on the back there.
Hell no. But yeah, Pete, it's the tournament has come and gone. How do you feel now that it's all? I mean, you're gonna react to the results in a bit because, of course, Pete, if you're just tuning in for the first time, which surprising me because again, we had 4 weeks of voting. How do you feel now that it's all said and done before you react to results?
I mean, God, it's been a journey.
It weirdly has been. That's the funny part.
I feel like it's taken a toll on me personally as well.
That because of some of the results, they went along the way, but it was a lot of fun. Twitter spoke. I can't complain. I think it worked out the way that it did, thankfully. And I even had somebody tell me, "Hey, Jose, are you gonna do wrestling themes next?" I'm like, not right away, but that is a damn good idea to do wrestling themes next.
We'll do something. We'll do one.
We'll do something like that. But it's, I mean, not in the next. Definitely not in the next 2 to 3 months, because again, this takes a lot, and there's a lot of setup for this. I mean, if you don't do podcasts, or even just in general, like just for companies or whatnot, so these things can take a toll, even if you're doing it for fun. And of course, I mean, we can't even do it next month because we are on the road to SummerSlam. We're on the road. We're on our journey. Of course, in a few weeks, our countdown to a Big Four pay-per-view returns to the podcast as well. So we're going to get to SummerSlam in a bit. But for now, as I said with Pete, he needs to react to the results of our greatest finisher ever, the Final Four from the tag team division, the 3D. From the Slam Grapple division, the Stone Cold Stunner. From the Strike division, the, for some odd reason, polarizing and a little bit controversial GTS. And from the Submission division, the Lion Tamer. Each of these won their respective weekends between weeks 1 and 4 and got to this point. As they await to see, as people were voting to see who they wanted in the final 2, and eventually your winner, of course. As I was saying as well throughout the tournament, or by week 2 or 3 when we established it, if there was a tie in these 2 matchups, both of them advanced to the final round. So it could have been a triple threat, could be a fatal 4-way. It wasn't. So we start off with the first matchup, the 3D taking on the Stone Cold Stunner. And of course, in a whopping 69% of the vote, take that as you will, the Stone Cold Stunner made its way to the finale over the 3D at 31%. The 3D got off to a little good start, but eventually the Stone Cold Stunner and Stone Cold Steve Austin moved on. Pete, your reaction?
That's about what I expected. I wouldn't have been surprised if the Stone Cold Stunner just went 100% here, if I'm being perfectly honest. I like the 3D got a bit of love. I do like a 3.
So do I. I'm happy that it did.
And I love the Stunner. I've got absolutely zero complaints with the Stone Cold Stunner being in the final. Makes perfect sense.
Yeah, I mean, like I say, when we unveiled the bracket, I was saying that I expected Stone Cold Stunner in the final. Here it is, in the final of the greatest finisher ever. And I am happy that the 3D got the love that it did. That's what I'm relieved about. Because like I said, a bit of a hot start, but again, the Stunner is it's so iconic. It's like, how does it not go in the final? But I think it's all we need to say. So Pete, let's go on to the next matchup, the GTS and the Lion Tamer. Do I want to ask you, who do you think made it?
I think this is going to be quite close, but I mentioned it last week. I don't think submissions get a lot of love in the world of wrestling, and I love submissions. I think Lion Tamer's an excellent move. but I don't think it has that impact on those memorable moments as much as people remember, and therefore I think the CM Punk bias might come back, even though it's a terrible move, and the CM Punk bias I think might push it over the edge.
Well, it was close, 54 to 46% close. In fact, this was in a tie situation before the final hour, half hour. It was only until I think again like the final hour, last half hour, where one got the significant advantage over the other and sealed it. But yes, I will say we were extremely close to a triple threat. It was just neck and neck. I was just surprising. It was a battle. I just need to confirm the number of votes here. Yeah, so it won by a vote. It won by a vote. It won by one vote because there was a total of 13. Again, thank you. We weren't expecting 100 to 500, but this 13 is still great. With 54% of the votes, it's the polarizing GTS in the final. It edged out Line Tamer. And again, Pete, I emphasize this. It was close. It was very close. Very close. Because again, we were retweeting, we were spamming social media, like cast your votes if you haven't, because this is a really juicy matchup. And we need to see if we can get a clear, definitive final two, or if we wrap up in a triple threat, or we didn't wrap up in a triple threat. So basically, CM Punk versus Stone Cold Steve Austin. React.
Honestly, that would be a dream match. I would love to see CM Punk versus Stone Cold Steve Austin. Like, the promos, the storytelling. That would be so damn good. But the GTS being in the final is honestly maybe a bigger insult in wrestling than it is perhaps the biggest insult in the history of professional wrestling. I am not sure there's been anything worse happen in wrestling than the GTS making the final of the bracket
that you helped create.
When I created all 64, I think was it 64? Yeah, 64 finishers that went into this. I genuinely think the GTS was in the bottom 3 of all of them. Maybe there's a couple of tag team ones I'm forgetting. The Atomic Leg Drop is worse. I have no doubt about that. That might be it. I'm not sure there's necessarily another worse finisher on this entire list than the GTS. And the GTS is in the final. It's a disgrace. It's horrific. It is the biggest crime in wrestling history.
I mean, it's funny we bring this all up now, and then the news that dropped this past Wednesday about that individual, CM Punk, apparently making a return to wrestling. So it's very fitting that I mean the results were wrapped up before the news came out. But if the news came out, if the news came out while we were in the middle of that voting, I feel like the vote would have been worse because everybody would have been talking about CM Punk. But I mean, they are now. So I mean, we said our thoughts last week.
CM Punk, phenomenal wrestler, phenomenal promo, phenomenal everything, terrible finisher. That's
terrible finisher. Of course, if you want to hear our thoughts on CM Punk, you can go back to I believe last week's episode or the week before. It was one of the first 2 weeks. I'll link it up in the card and you can confirm it there on YouTube. But yes, we did have a conversation about CM Punk because again, the GTS advancing to the Final Four was shocking enough, and now here we are, in the final two. So, Pete, the final two. What do you got?
This should be a 100% to 0%. If there was ever a 100% to 0% vote, it won't be.
Okay.
I'm sure it won't be, but it should be 100% to 0% in favor of the GTS.
Oh.
No, of course, the other way around.
Okay, well, with 9 votes, again, thank you to those who voted. We are not disappointed there was only 9. Believe me, we are happy that people were voting. The final total in percentage was 78 to 22. It was 78 to 22.
Can I have the 2 people's names who voted for the GTS?
That is actually we have the names here. That is at Nick C _1990. You can complain to him. So once again, at Nick C _1990. It doesn't say. I just really want to get that plug out there. But yes, you said it. Who the hell did? It is the Stone Cold Stunner winning our greatest finisher ever. There it is. The Stone Cold Stunner has been claimed by Twitter through our social media as the greatest finisher ever. And of course, everybody loves, especially our good old tournament resident Alex Mirza, everybody loves a good old bracket fill out. There is your final 64 bracket. All spots filled out. The Stone Cold Stunner in the biggest letters. It is, well, at least in terms of the brackets, obviously the bigger letters are the winner or the divisionings, whatever. There it is. The Stone Cold Stunner winning. The right winner?
No, but not one I'm going to complain about.
Agreed.
It's a top 5, top 10 at least finisher in this bracket for me, and that's no complaints whatsoever. It's a valid winner. It's one that I look at and go, yeah, I can see why. I'm happy with it. It's maybe not the most impactful, but it's had probably the most impactful moment of any of these finishes on the list.
I agree. I think when it comes to the Stunner, we've had some incredible, memorable moments in any capacity with the Stunner that, makes you look back and go like, holy crap. Like, when the Austin era began at WrestleMania 14, or the amount of times that he stunned the hell out of Vince and his whole family, right? It's a lot of special moments, but yes, there it is. The winner of the greatest finisher ever, the Stone Cold Stunner. Once again, on behalf of Pete and I guess Nick, because he helped create this, we thank you again for participating. We hope you had a lot of fun with this. Of course, we also do want you to give us your feedback if you liked it or not, if you want us to approach the voting differently, because I was thinking to myself, maybe we could have done like instead of like clearing out an entire bracket in one weekend or an entire division in one weekend, maybe we just do the 16 in week 1 and then all the Elite 8s in the next week and so on and so forth. So there's different ways we could have done this, but I think this was a fun way to do it all at the end of the day. And, we stuck by it. We had a lot of fun. So thank you.
I think it was a nice way in that we managed to crown like the best of each category each week. So we had like a winner in some regard.
For sure. And of course, like I said, like, I mean, I was thinking like maybe some people would have been like, well, why don't you just do all the first 16 first, right? Get them all out of the way in one weekend. Then you go with the 8. Then you go with the 4 and or sorry, the 64, the 32, then the 16, 8, 4, 2, something like that. But it worked out the way that it did. And again, like if we do this again, which I feel like we should, because this was so much fun. And we've had a lot of people messaging us their opinions, their what the hells, their praises. So I think it was a success. I think this ended up working out to be. So thank you again, Pete, for helping set all that up. So we move on now. We say goodbye to the greatest finisher ever. We say goodbye to this era of the podcast, and we move on back to what we normally been doing what we've been doing all the time, except for this last month. Of course, talk about wrestling and what's going on in the world of wrestling, and of course, we do have to talk about the fallout of Money in the Bank. Hell yeah. Money in the Bank was this past Sunday on the WWE Network, or for 20 minutes, not on Peacock in the United States, which pissed off a lot of people as everybody else around the world laughed at their regular traditional WWE Network viewing. God almighty, that's I feel bad, but hey, Canadians get it on cable. Suck it.
We just have a network.
It's at least you have it. At least you have it. It is not through Peacock. So
yep.
We're not going to talk about each match. I mean, I will say off the bat, I thought Money in the Bank was a lot of fun. Money in the Bank was way more entertaining than I thought it was going to be. Yes, the crowd worked. The crowd was pumped up, fired up. And I think the only match that I do want to skip over is a tag team. Well, both tag team championship matches. I mean, the kickoff show we don't really talk about anyways, but the Usos winning. I'm really happy they're rewarding DUIs. I'm gonna be on record saying that I have no issues with it. I don't get why the Usos got the titles for the sake of the story. It's wrong. Travesty. It's wrong. And I'm not. And of course,
it's a good match.
It was a solid match,
but no,
but,
terrible.
I mean,
terrible.
you know the situation with Jimmy, and a lot of people were criticizing it, myself included. And of course, I emphasize this now. Obviously, we don't want you to drink and drive. Obviously, we want you to be safe, to protect not only yourself but those around you on the road, especially in your car. And of course, if you have any help, call your local health center. I know you have like places like Mothers Against Drunk Driving that'll also help you recover that. There is help if you need it. Get it. And I think it's a shame that after that, just 2 weeks after all that went down, this is what happens after. And I think, and I'll still stand by it, I thought Jimmy should have been fired. And he obviously didn't. He was obviously not fired because he's a champion now. It's unfortunate. And again, I can't emphasize this enough. If you need the help, please go find it and know that you're not alone. I'm sure that you're not alone. You have people that are also willing to support you as well.
Also, very, very quickly to clarify on that, I'm with Jose in that I think Jimmy Uso should have been fired.
Yeah.
But I'm not saying he's irredeemable. At this point, I think when I say fired, I do not mean cut all connections with Jimmy Uso. I do not mean
thank you.
that.
Thank you.
WWE should be supporting him getting through this. They should be getting him the help he needs. They should be seeking that professional help. And if he gets through it, changes it round, becomes that better person, then I'm not against him being rehired as well in the future and giving him that extra opportunity again. But in the meantime, you have to show that actions have consequences. And this is doing the exact opposite. Like, this is setting a bad example to kids, teenagers, etc., watching this in terms of I can just get away with things and go on.
Yeah.
And a lot of people are influenced by these, and they will see even the Usos might even be heroes, etc., and go, well, yeah, he got in trouble with the police, but it doesn't matter because he won the title. You need to be saying, not necessarily publicly on TV, but you need to be saying that these aren't acceptable things in your workplace.
Yeah.
To get away with, because what's to stop any other wrestler doing it now? Because it's just shown there isn't consequences. And the thing that annoyed me, they even give a cheeky nod to it on the show itself. And that pissed me off as well. With Roman Reigns going, oh, you're only here because of me. And then looking at Jimmy goes, I don't even need to say anything with you. It's like, no. Don't write in the storyline.
Don't write it.
Don't write him in. Take him off TV for a bit at the bare minimum and suspend him. Do something. Set at least a little bit of integrity for your company.
Yeah. Absolutely. And obviously, a lot of people try to because he's related to The Rock or he has all this nepotism, and that's why he can get away with it. But if somebody else did it, then you know what, they're done. And I'm scared that's true. Legitimately, I am. And when it comes to like WWE backing up and helping out, your best example or one of your best examples of that was Eddie, 2002 or late 2001, early 2002. Eddie was fired. For drug health problems. I don't remember. I can't remember if alcohol was involved, but Eddie was in a lot of trouble, an insane amount of trouble. WWE fired him, but they gave him the support that he needed as well. He bounced back and he came back late 2002, I believe, and then obviously from there had on the final years that he had. Unfortunately, it cut his life short. There's no denying that, but at least he was able to find like good health and clearance, and then go and do on what he did in the ring. And Eddie is one of my all-time favorites. And it's disgusting that happened to Eddie, but you look at that inspirational, lift up story and then you go, damn, man. And it's a shame that how he lost. And I don't want that with Jimmy. And it sucks that, it's affecting his personal relationships as well. I mean, obviously he's married to Naomi, and a lot of people on social media were harassing Naomi. She had to deactivate Twitter. Fuck off. That's pathetic. It's so sad. I don't know how much longer I want to entertain this because we have to continue to talk about Money in the Bank, but yeah, I thank you, Pete, for clarifying on the fired. I mean, yeah, like I said, I said fired. Suspension, of course, also an acceptable option, but I think just because
fired is fine, because fired implies that if he can't and you give him the help he needs and he's still refusing to change, then you aren't going to let him back on your show. So firing was fine, but it is being willing, if they do change their life around, you can still be willing to give them that chance in the future again.
Absolutely. And it's fine. I mean, yes, people relapse, people struggle, but it doesn't mean that they can never be on their road to recovery. So again, I emphasize this and I say this once again, if you or somebody that needs help with this kind of stuff, again, find it. It's gonna be okay, and that you have a group of people to support you. And again, I wish I should have found stuff at the top of my head, but of course, again, Mothers Against Drunk Driving will help you out with stuff like that. So of course, give them a call if you need to, or if there's any other local centers around your city.
Quick Google, you will find someone.
Exactly.
I'm sure alcoholic supports. There is any kind of these things, drug abuse supports. These things are out there. Do get the help. It is a problem, and if you have that problem, don't feel alone. Don't delve deeper into it. Please reach out to somebody. Just talk to somebody and find the help that you need.
Yep. So, I think we should cap it off with that message. I'm happy. I am happy we spoke about this. It wasn't originally in the plans, but as you think about it, you realize this is important because this is a message that needs to be said. So I think I hope we did it justice. I hope we did. because it's never easy. But if it's out there, I think you're doing it for a good cause. So we move on. We move on with the rest of Money in the Bank. Again, like the Raw Tag Team Championship matches, nothing much to say. I mean, yes, some incredible spots like like Omos throwing AJ like into a Hurricanrana was incredible. Omos still struggling with the cells, but as expected, retained their tag champion. We move on.
My only tiny comment there is I don't understand why Omos ever tags out the ring.
I have no idea.
I just don't get it. He never takes any pain, punishment whatsoever. And he's
he doesn't.
Okay, lads. I think he's just lazy. He's like, I'm done now. I'll stand out on the side now.
I'm good. Yep. Catch you on the next match. We got this. Oh, we're retaining. Right on, boys. Right on. I want to talk about before we get to obviously the bigger matches. I do want to talk about the biggest surprise that I was not expecting, like in the terms of a dark horse. Charlotte, Rhea Ripley. Holy, I don't know how you felt, Peel. I don't know how you felt, Pete. Holy hell, what a match. I nearly got up and said, I'm going to go for a walk and get like a bag of chips or something. Okay, I'll just sit back and wait. I'm happy. Oh, I'm happy I stayed and watched the match. Unbelievable. Charlotte wins. I mean, yippee-ki-yay. And we'll get to the results of Charlotte winning later on because, yes, something happened on Raw and we're still pissed off. Oh, I'm pissed. I don't know how you feel, but I'm just
miffed.
Miffed. I like that. Miffed. Pete, your thoughts on Rhea and Charlotte?
Yeah, fantastic match. You said it really well. And I think this is a reminder that even if these wrestlers, the booking in a lot of these cases is terrible, and Charlotte Ripley feud is terrible.
Yep.
It's gone on too long. It's dragged through the dirt. It's been a crap feud.
Oh, yeah.
But do not take it out on the wrestlers because these are still some of the best wrestlers in the world. And Charlotte's proven she can do it on the mic. Ripley's proven she can do it on the mic. And they've both shown they can do it in the ring. These people are fantastic wrestlers. Charlotte and Rhea Ripley are fantastic wrestlers. And they demonstrated, even the crowd were against this match. And they pulled them back in.
They pulled them back.
They made them care. And it shows you how good these two women are in the ring. And do not put the blame of how bad this story is on those two. Because they are both excellent wrestlers. It's not their fault that the writing for them has been atrocious.
The start of the match, we won Becky and Charlotte flips them all off and I'm laughing. And I'm like, and they blacked out the screen. I'm like, really? You've said bullshit on air. How on earth? And it's your network, unless it was NBC
also,
and Peacock.
They blacked out the screen temporarily and came back and she was still doing it.
She's still doing it. It's just so good. So good. But I mean, yes, that crowd went from trolling and wanting Becky to giving them a stand. I saw some people standing in an ovation. Unreal. Why am I hearing my echo? That's really weird. Unreal. I was really happy. The natural selection from the top rope, I was just in awe. And I'm like, is this it? And the kick out was just suspenseful. They hit each other hard. Again, a lot of fun moments. No Becky. If the crowd was after the match, even though they were applauding Charlotte and getting all excited, but of course, once Charlotte won the title, they were waiting. They're like, "Where is Becky? She's gonna come out for SummerSlam to challenge Charlotte for SummerSlam." Where's Becky?
I was convinced she was coming out on Raw, but I didn't expect it on SummerSlam. Especially when it was closing the show on Raw, I was convinced that was why.
Everybody was. Like they were saying, like there's gonna be big surprises this weekend. WWE was saying there's gonna be big surprises. That was the one that everybody wanted, and he didn't get it.
Nope.
I
did not expect it here. I did not expect it in this match, but I was 95% sure. As soon as that match was closing Monday Night Raw, as soon as that was happening, I was 95% sure that Becky was coming out, and it didn't happen.
I can't believe it. I'm just like, I'm on a record saying, I want Becky, when it feels right for Becky, bring her back. Don't rush it just because you're a big fan of her. Obviously she has a kid and whatnot. And I know it's been more than a year. Within like maternity leave standpoint, I hate talking about like that side of like any returning, like, oh, when are they going to come back? Like it's time for them to come back. I'm like, you don't know what the wrestler's feeling. You don't know it. Yeah. But again, in this case, I think it was a rare time when I flipped over and be like, really? Because she was teasing the hell on social media. She was
her Twitter trolling game is absolutely
it's so good. But it's But I mean, even like Charlotte said on Raw the next night, oh, Becky's breastfeeding somewhere. And then Becky on Twitter, even though I'm breastfeeding, I'm still the most over woman on the roster. I'm like, all right, get the casket. Good night. You're done. All the best.
Yep.
Let's move on. What do you want to talk about next, Pete? Yeah, 4 matches left. What do you want to talk about?
Let's touch on very quickly. I'll take the least interesting one, I guess. Let's touch on Bobby Lashley.
That was where my mindset too. I'm like, let Pete take control. Let's give him the keys and see how it feels to say what's next, because it is kind of powerful.
I think this is the least important of the 4. I think it's still a very significant, but I think it's the least important of the 4. I don't want to touch on the Raw thing yet.
Nope.
But the match itself, standalone, is going to be quite controversial, I guess, people's opinions on this. Standalone, ignoring where it went, I love this.
Yeah.
I absolutely loved it. And I feel sorry for Kofi. It would have been nice if he got... I expected them to do the Daniel Bryan versus Brock Lesnar type of match where it was all Brock Lesnar. Daniel Bryan got through that like little bit of flurry where you went, oh my God, had like 2 or 3 near falls where you were convinced you're going to win it, and then Brock Lesnar won. That's what I was expecting to happen the more and more this went on. And then he started hitting Dominator, and I was like, oh God,
this is a squash.
And I had zero issue with making Bobby Lashley the new Brock Lesnar level monster.
They needed to. Character, Bobby needed it, and he got it.
I still don't want him to split with MVP. I do not want that to happen. I think he needs MVP there. I think he needs the mic there.
Without a doubt.
And they keep teasing that they're going to do that. Do not do that. Do not take away his mouthpiece.
No.
But making him Brock Lesnar-esque at this point, where only a few people can even keep up with him, where it's like Drew can sort of keep up with him in the ring. I don't want to mention the person who is going to keep up with him in the ring, but we'll ignore that bit, and we'll talk about that a bit later on. But in terms of a standalone, this one match and what it does for Lashley, I love it in this standalone bit.
Yeah, in terms of the mouthpiece, you're absolutely right. I mean, you can say this is like another Brock Lesnar type character. You basically is at this point with that squash. And Brock Lesnar never lost Heyman. Maybe back in the day, in his earlier days in WWE, like in 04 and 03, where Lesnar went off his own and he worked. But they found the right tone, the right tune with Lesnar. Like it's better if he stays quiet because he has the mouthpiece. MVP is the exact same thing, and I mean I'm 100% okay with that. I somewhat feel bad for Kofi because his last championship match was, it was significantly shorter, but the same type, right? He got
the same amount of offense in.
He got ripped to shreds, and it sucks.
He got exactly the same amount of offense in.
Exactly, and I
think got what 2 punches in this match or something really early on, and that was like the entirety of it.
Roll the credits, and it sucks, but this is the right call, and I'm happy to buy. I think this is the spark that Bobby needed. Again, we'll see how long that spark is ignited because of what's going to happen now on the road to SummerSlam.
He's a babyface now, so it's fine.
Yeah, exactly.
He's squashed Kofi, and within 1 day he turned in babyface.
Exactly. Let's move on to let's go to the women's Money in the Bank. I think that's the next one to be spoken about. I'm still confused even after everything that went down this past Monday.
We talked about Monday as well, right?
I think this is a good time to include Monday, that we have to.
Fair enough.
But I'm just confused. I was just screaming at my TV, no, because once again, we have a Miss Money in the Bank already now done with their Money in the Bank reign a day after. Nikki Ash becoming your new Raw Women's Champion, became Miss Money in the Bank, and now your new Raw Women's Champion in 24 hours. I'm disappointed. I mean, I'm not disappointed in the winner. I'm confused with the winner because, again, I was all on Liv. And it didn't happen. I'm like, hey, it is what it is. I knew WWE has a habit of like they'll book somebody so hard and then it doesn't happen. And Liv was the next victim of that. I thought the finish was creative. It made sense how somebody in all the years they've been doing Money in the Bank, nobody has just decided to say, why am I still punching you? Why am I still punching all of you? Let me climb up and just snatch it. Nikki was, I think, hilarious. Just like, okay, fine. Thanks. You guys, your girls can keep fighting. I got it. I'm on my way to immortality.
Yeah.
I don't get if this was Nikki Cross in her sanity type, I'm all game.
Nope.
I don't know if it would work. I don't know if it would work. Maybe not. Again, I'm not bugged. I just hate how we don't have another Money in the Bank reign.
I am booked.
What?
You said did you just say I'm not booked?
No, I'm not. No, I said I'm not. I'm bugged. I'm not.
Right, okay.
I'm frustrated that there was no long reign. There, we're changing the word here. I don't know what I said. I'm gonna have to listen back.
Either way, I completely agree with you. I thought this match was good. I don't think it was a great Money in the Bank match, but I thought it was a good Money in the Bank match.
I thought it was one of the better ones in terms of the women.
Probably not, but I don't think there was anything particularly wrong with it either. I just thought it was a very by the books Money in the Bank match, except for the finish. I love the finish. I absolutely loved the finish of the match.
I thought it was
Nikki Ash winning it. I had no issue at the time. I was like, that's really interesting. Now let's book her a really fun Money in the Bank reign where she has the superhero gimmick. She has this gimmick where she can come out at any point. It's great. Let her build on it. Let her have her comedic moments with it. And build her as a bit of a star. Put her over a couple of wrestlers on the way there. Start giving her some wins which aren't just by fluke.
Yeah.
Because that's it. Every match she's won about the last month and a half has been lucky. Give her a match where she wins and she isn't lucky for once. And have that nice little reign. And then, yeah, I'm fully on board with Nikki Ash. I love Nikki. No issues with her then winning the title like 3 to 6 months down the line. It's 4 women in a row now who've cashed in within the day. 4.
Yeah.
Why
Asuka was, for the record, Asuka was by default due to pregnancy. Continue.
Either way, it's still 4 within a day. And at that point, I'm now sat there going, why? Why do you not want to give the Money in the Bank reign to the women? The best one by far is Carmella. Carmella is regarded as a fantastic Money in the Bank holder. It's the only one you've done with a long reign.
Look at the names that follow after Carmella too. Bailey, Alexa. I forget the other. Asuka, and now Nikki. Those 4, you can argue, are significantly better than Carmella in many in-ring and promo work aspect. Yeah, and Carmella is still reigned
only one
by default has the best Miss Money in the Bank winner because the other 4 didn't get the chance.
Exactly. And
I don't get it.
I don't understand it. I thought it was a quick pop to try and say, look, we're back with the crowds and we want to give something fun. And I think it's terrible in terms of long-term booking because I don't think Nikki is at that level yet. And you needed to give her another 3 months with the character to build her up to winning that title because realistically, you've now just got a lucky champion. And that's all it is.
Is this character even a month old?
It's about 2 months old, I think.
It's okay. It's a few, yeah.
But it's luck. And I love Nikki and I don't hate the character. But it's just the wrong time. It's bad booking long term. Yeah. It's all about they cared about was that short-term pop and ensuring the first show of the crowd had a big moment.
I mean, you had another bigger moment that everybody expected, and that wasn't the one.
It wasn't even the issue. It wasn't even the biggest talking point in the show. And honestly, I think the Karrion Kross thing was the biggest talking point of the show.
Right,
I don't think that was for everyone. Because apparently Impact on their show at the weekend managed to promote AAA, New Japan Pro Wrestling, AEW, NWA, and have got a Ring of Honor working relationship, and they did that all in one night. And WWE can't even promote their own third brand. Like that was disgraceful, and that took away from this. Somehow, this was the 3rd worst thing in the show for me. And I don't understand how that's even possible based on how much I hated the booking of this. And it was the 3rd worst thing on the show.
My worry is, do they not trust the women with this Money in the Bank briefcase? Do they not think that it's going to be a good reign? Or do they
not trust the writers? Honestly, I think it's got the point where they've gone, oh my God, our women's title scene is stale. Crap, what do we do? Quick,
this is our emergency. This is our breaking case of emergency because it's going to get the pop and the excitement needed. Go cash in. Go out.
We need to do it immediately because the women's division is dying. Not thinking actually giving Nikki Cross a big build over 6 months is way better for your women's division than a quick pop cash in.
And each of the last 4 women, Nikki, Alexa, Asuka, and Bailey, each of those can easily have delivered and given, like, whatever they presented with, they could have easily like owned Miss Money in the Bank. And again, it's still Carmella, and it's just so frustrating. I don't get it. It's just it's disappointing all around. And it's I mean, I don't even know what the lead up is to SummerSlam now, and it's ironically you want to watch Raw to see how they approach this, but at the same time you don't, because it's so frustrating that this is the route that they went.
Fantastic for Nikki though. I love Nikki.
Great. So do I. Yeah, like I said,
fantastic for her. Just the wrong time.
Yeah, exactly. It's unfortunate, but here we are now, and that is once again we are left with a what if for a Miss Money in the Bank contract reign. And I will say this, and I got a little bit of flack in our group chat when Nikki won it. I was excited. I'm like, okay, this is a pleasant surprise. But then my mind turned into, will she be the first woman to fail to cash in? Because that character, for some odd reason, it kind of reminded me of Otis, reminding me of Baron Corbin. That
comedy character,
the comedy character that does not succeed. That was my first thought. And I had people tell me, you gotta enjoy it, Jose. And I'm like, I'm enjoying it. I'm happy. But who is it? Like, nobody is going to not think about what's next for the future with Money in the Bank winners, because you get excited. You're like, what can happen? It's another Money in the Bank reign. But then again, my mind went, God, I hope they don't make her the first failed Miss Money in the Bank, because you know what's going to happen at some point.
Honestly, though, if one of these was going to win the belt quickly, I'd have preferred the other one. If we're going to cash in one quickly, I'd rather we'd cashed in the men's and given the women a long reign for once.
Interesting, because I mean the last quick reign for a male was Dean Ambrose.
Well, it's the only one within like a day. There's obviously been the men's reigns have been disappointing
since then, yeah,
but they haven't been like instantaneous cashing. So like Miz only cashed in 3 months ago.
Yeah, we're still fresh of a cash in hindsight. It's been a while, but let's transition to the men. Let's transition to the men's Money in the Bank ladder match. I was on record saying last week that I hope it's Kevin Owens. If it's Big E, I'm pretty sure I said it. Somebody may come after me because I may contradict myself. I was saying with Big E that it's not my go-to, but I wouldn't be against it. It happened. Big E is your Mr. Money in the Bank, and as soon as it happened, because again, like I didn't like the book, and I didn't understand what people saw in Big E to say like, hey, this is Big E's moment. It's time. I'm like, guys, there's not really much to show for it. But after Big E grabbed the briefcase, I told myself, okay, you know what? This was the time to start people getting on board, because yes, now he's within striking range of his first world championship. And I don't want to say it's overdue or not, because again, everything happened the way that it did since Big E debuted, which was around like 2013, WrestleMania 29. Everything happened the way that it did. So I don't even want to say it's overdue, because I do think there were far more interesting stories since then. And I do think that there were more compelling champions. And I never thought that Big E fit into that realm. But now that he has the Money in the Bank, I'm telling myself, I can get behind this, because this is his road. And I think if they were going to strike, it was then, and it feels right that they did right then and there. I think that was the bigger striking opportunity, because if he didn't with Big E, then people would have said people would have kept going with it. And I'm like, guys, the Money in the Bank, I would have probably said the Money in the Bank was that opportunity. It didn't happen. It says a lot, but it did. So Big E is your Mr. Money in the Bank. Pete?
I think it's the right choice.
There you go.
It's I wouldn't say it's overdue either. I think it's maybe just due. It's the right time to do it.
Exactly.
And the Money in the Bank for me is for those upper mid card people who have been outside the title scene or haven't had that chance, but they've been up and there around the upper mid card, or it's been a good few years since they've been in the title picture, which is why I was happy to say so Owens winning. I was okay with even Seth winning, because it's been a couple of years. I think Big E is the right choice though, and
it worked out.
I think he can have a great reign. I think he can do it. I wouldn't have even minded if he'd actually cashed in about SummerSlam, not like last night, not like this week, but if he cashed in around SummerSlam, I wouldn't have even been bothered by that, because I think he is one of those people who's on the rise. I think it's someone who people want to see do well as well. And I think it's just a great choice all around. And honestly,
it worked out.
I hope he wins it, and I hope he has a good run. And
So do I.
We'll see.
I am thinking that obviously they prefer they clearly prefer the men having extensive reigns. Like this Money in the Bank winner, I felt compared to the last, let's say, 4 years, or probably since Dean Ambrose, that this feels like we're gonna have a good reign, a good Money in the Bank holder. Like this feels more right compared to Otis, Brock, Braun, Baron. And
I mean,
of course,
Braun could have been a good hold. He just wasn't.
he just wasn't.
Terribly.
So I'm happy for Big E. I'm really happy that this worked out. And again, I know some people were saying, "Oh, he's gonna cash in on Lashley now because he needs to get revenge for Kofi." And I'm like, well, he's on SmackDown, and Roman Reigns is a pretty good, compelling character. Will he do it on Roman? I don't know. There is the rumored, like I think I said last week, that there's like the anticipation of a draft coming up. So we'll see what happens then. But for now, I'm hoping that it's just a solid reign for Big E. I really do. I really, really do. So, in saying that, Pete, let's get on to the probably the biggest talking point of the show: Roman Reigns Edge for the Universal Championship. I saw it coming. I'm wearing an Edge shirt right now that says "Get Grit." I knew Edge wasn't gonna win. I knew it, and I saw, and of course I got fooled into what Seth said. He said, "I'm gonna cost a champion." And of course, no, that's not what he meant. He clearly meant Edge. It's like, great. It's because Rollins interfered, cost Edge the match. Roman retains. A slow paced match, but I think this is like Roman's profile now to have these slow paced matches.
And Edge's profile as well. I think it's both of them.
Both of them. But I liked it. I liked the match. Again, I thought it was a really good main event. I know some people were saying it wasn't the best, but I'm like, Roman Reigns has developed a slow character because he just wants to tackle people and be like, acknowledge me, bitch. Okay, punch. Acknowledge me. No, punch. Like, that's just how Roman works now. And Edge, like you said, is also that slow-paced guy who just wants to create chaos and havoc and pain. I like that a lot. But that wasn't a big talking point because we had a return, and I have to say that return felt pretty damn good. I teared up. I was happy. John Cena making his big return to WWE, saying hi to Roman after he won the match. Oh, I'm happy. I did not think. I know. I know. I feel like I know where you're gonna go with your points, Pete. So I just want to get mine out of the way. I'm happy Cena's back. I am happy he's in the situation. I am happy that it looks like obviously it's going to be Cena Reigns and most likely for the Universal Championship. But I don't know, man. Cena's money, and I feel like after all the years we've been booing him and just hating the booking, you don't appreciate what you've got until it's gone. And the return this past Sunday, I'm like, God, I missed you more than I realized. And it's just so refreshing to see Cena. So I'm happy for Cena. He had a great promo Raw, calling Roman an asshole. I thought that was kind of funny. But yeah, that's my mindset. I'm just happy. The pop was enormous, and the address that he said to the crowd is like, I'm going to be here, and WWE announcing all of his appearances and then up until SummerSlam on house shows, on Raw and SmackDown. It's just like, that's awesome that they're going to completely take advantage of the time that they have with Cena, and rightfully so, because he's still a big name. But I'm happy. I'm happy he's in the spot. Pete?
I am going to partially agree and say I am delighted to see Cena back.
Fair.
I admit I popped for his music. Not going to deny that. I think his promo on Monday was actually pretty crap. I thought it was very well delivered, but I thought the actual message in the promo for the most part was really average. Like, I think he spent a long time just trying to get the crowd to do what he wanted, and then just saying Roman's an asshole. And it's like, well, yeah, but there's been 100 assholes in the last year. It's kind of not much of a thing to go on. I despise this. Actually, that's a lie. I don't despise this feud. I despise Cena being in the title picture.
Fair. I get it.
Immediately.
I get it.
Do you know when Cena's last televised singles match win was?
Oh my God almighty. I don't know.
It was over 3 years ago. And it was Triple H at the Greatest Royal Rumble in 2018.
Wow.
Last televised singles win for John Cena.
I wasn't even thinking that far. Wow.
This is when I say that I'm disappointed, because in my opinion, Cena coming out and just immediately getting a title shot and completely shits on your entire roster. It literally says this guy who hasn't won in 3 years, who just historically is a really good wrestler, is better than all of you. Like, at least have him beat somebody first. That's kind of my issue. Have him come out, win a number one contenders match, do something like that. I honestly would not have him near the title match. I would have done something completely different, and I reckon within 10 minutes, I could come up with a better SummerSlam card that incorporated all of the legends and different title matches. That's more interesting.
Probably.
And what I would have had Cena do is I wouldn't have had him go near Roman. I'd have had him come out in the middle of the show. I wouldn't have had him close the show. I'd have had him come out in the middle of the show and said something like, look at like the main event picture, look at all these things. The stars of today aren't good enough. They aren't big enough to challenge Roman. Maybe even said, I want to challenge Roman down the line. And then I'd have had Cesaro answer him. That's what I'd have done. I'd have had someone like Cesaro come out and say, no, we are better than you now. We are better wrestlers than you. And I'd have had like Cena put over Cesaro at SummerSlam. That's what I'd have done. And I think that creates a new top star and it uses Cena properly, has him put over a star of today, uses your legend in a big feud, still draws the fans in because Cena is still on TV, gives you an interesting storyline outside of the main event, and just does something overall. And that's what I'd have done. And I don't agree with Cena being the title picture when he literally hasn't won a match in over 3 years.
See, I've always thought business like when it comes to these kind of things. I've always am because again, I 100% get that side of the fan side. I get it. Like I'm a fan, right? Like I want to see other people shine. I want to see other people, you know, I want the younger generation to have a superstar like that's built up to be like that. I get it. But then my business cap comes on. And again, my mindset is if you have Cena there, I almost feel like you have no choice, which sucks because he is that big sell. He is that big sell. And I mean, frankly,
who's your big sell in 15 years' time? Who's your big sell in the future?
Exactly. No, I agree with that.
My problem here is you're never going to make new stars if you constantly shit on him to make room for these legends returning. I still pop for Cena's music every time. I still pop for Goldberg's music. The example I would give is I pop for Sting's music, and they're using him to put over Darby Allin as a new star. They're using him to put over a new guy, even when he's winning matches.
No, that is the right way. That is the right way. I'm just
need to be in a title match at the expense of your whole roster. You can have them on the show. I am down for them on the show. I am happy to see legends on the show. I'm happy for them to bring in the old nostalgic fans. But when you're bringing those nostalgic fans in, you need to be saying, look, here, like I'll cover Goldberg in a bit, and I will say what I'd have done with Goldberg when we get to Goldberg.
Yeah.
But if you have Cena putting over a guy like Cesaro, making a start of him, you go, hey guys, here's this, and here's your main event on the side. And if I was doing the main event, I'd have had Keith Lee come out and be challenging Bobby Lashley for the title at SummerSlam. And you build him up as a star. You put him over a couple of people really dominantly in these 2 weeks, rather than just lose to him and make room for bloody Goldberg. I'd have done, you know what I'd have done as my main event at SummerSlam? I'd have done a rare case. I'd have done Reigns versus Rollins. That would have been my main.
That would have been winning. That's
heel
money
versus heel, but it's Shield versus Shield, and you play off all of their history. That Rollins has always had Roman Reigns,
and that's why
it's compelling storytelling.
And that's what I thought after Rollins lost the Money in the Bank line match. He said, I'm next in line. I'm gonna find out who next in line, right? And of course attacks Edge, which makes no sense. I'm like, I think you would have been better off if you cost Roman the title there.
There's so much history there as well, though. Like
exactly
every time they fought, Rollins has won. Then you think of like Rollins managed to beat Brock at Mania. Roman never did. You go back to Mania 31. You can call them that cash. And you go back to Money in the Bank 2016 when Rollins beat Reigns for the title. Rollins has always had his number. You can go back and talk about things like Triple H picked me over you, Reigns.
Oh, yeah.
I was always the big guy. All those promos, all that storytelling, it doesn't matter if it's heel versus heel and defies like the natural script. It is money because it is Shield versus Shield. Who is the bigger member of it? And the fans will support who they want. And that crowd will be invested because it's a great story.
I'm sure that crowd is going to go nuts in Allegiant Stadium. It's a big stadium. That crowd's going to be electric anyway. But yes, no, you're absolutely right. Like I said, it's just unfortunately money talks, and
but you still have Cena on the show. You still have these big guys on the show, and they will still draw the money.
That. I know, I get that, but I just see like they want to maximize the value, and obviously their mindset. I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm just saying their mindset right now is you get one of my former big legends that have drew me lots of money versus the guy that's making me a lot of money now because people love who he is today. It's like it's the perfect jackpot. But again, I agree with you. It's just,
and to be honest, I'm also not against that if you do it in the same way as you had Rock versus Hogan, and the belt is still in a separate match, and you're still putting over your stars of today in a different match.
Here, their No Mercy match, it was more suitable than this. Because that makes sense. And they threw it on a freaking B pay-per-view, a WrestleMania caliber match on a B pay-per-view.
If Rollins, I don't know, you have Edge fight Kevin Owens at the same time. There's your Edge match. Kevin Owens it's his idol. It's grown up, and he thinks Edge has thrown a sulk. I don't know. If you want to get Edge on the card, you do Edge versus Kevin Owens, and Kevin Owens just wants to bring back the best out of Edge. Yeah. He wants to bring back the Edge of the past. There you go. There's the story to bring Edge on. I've booked 4 out of 5 matches, and I've covered another one when we get a Goldberg.
And yeah, let's quickly talk about that too, because before we gotta wrap up. Before we wrap up here, we all heard it. We're all hoping not, and there comes out Goldberg, and most likely it's going to be. None of these are official, by the way. Cena Reigns is not official. Goldberg last year on paper is it? Is it like
it basically is? It might.
But that's what I'm saying. It basically is. But I'm pretty sure if I were to go to our beautiful resource of Wikipedia, that it's not. But most likely it will be. Goldberg, I think, is a word. I mean, Cena. If we had to put these legends in these title matches, Cena is obviously my number 1. Goldberg is my number 564th. I'm
very against both.
And I hate. I'm saying if I had to pick one, Pete.
Yeah.
And I'm saying, and I hate that Dallas popped for Lesnar. I was expecting Dallas to boo, and instead Dallas went off. I'm like, oh crap, Vince is gonna go nuts. Oh shit.
Little bit of a pipe in there, though. Did you hear it?
Somewhat, but I did see
those Goldberg chants were not all organic.
They're not, but I for the record,
I still pop when his music hits. Though I pop for Goldberg.
Sure, yeah. Oh, I mean,
like, I love Goldberg. In the day.
I've been fortunate to hear the music popped like twice in person, Survivor Series and SummerSlam, and I'm like, it is, and like, I'm not saying it's an out of body experience, but it is a pretty thrilling 3 minutes of like, holy crap, here he effing comes. Like, good luck, everybody, run. It is a great theme. It's a great pop.
Yeah.
The
way someone's described this to me, though, is imagine having like Austin versus Mick Foley back in the day, and then Austin basically demolishes Foley with ease so that a returning Iron Sheik can put over Austin for the title, rather than building Austin versus Mick Foley. And I love Iron Sheik, and that, but that's how they described it to me, and I went, yeah, that sums it up pretty nicely.
That makes
to me
sense.
As well.
Yeah,
it's like, so. I said I'd have had Lashley versus Keith Lee, and I'd have built that. I'd have still used Goldberg. I think there's a cracking use for Goldberg still out there. And here's what I'd have done, because I just want to finish it off. I'd have said Goldberg hasn't earned a shot at the title, but Goldberg wants a shot at the title. And there's only one way he can get it, and that's to get it off Big E. And I'd have had him say to Big E, I want your briefcase. I want the title. I want to be able to cash it in. I want to prove I'm still a dominating force in wrestling. And Big E goes, okay, I'll put the case on the line. You put your career on the line.
There we go.
And you have Big E versus Goldberg, title versus Money in the Bank briefcase versus career. And I'd have had Big E pin Goldberg with a jackhammer.
Oh, that's rude. That's great, but it's rude.
Properly, like, pass the torch, though. Pass the
No, you're right.
And you know what I said? Wouldn't have minded Big E cashing in at SummerSlam. And I was saying you've got a heel versus heel in the main event. And you have Rollins or Reigns laid out at the end of it. You have Big E come out. I don't know, hit a big ending on Roman Reigns. Doesn't get to 2 count. Hits a jackhammer on Roman Reigns. Pins him. That's how I can see. That's how you build a star. You can have Goldberg not be in the title picture, but he goes, I want a title shot. I haven't earned a title shot. I want a title shot. I want your briefcase. But I'll put my career on the line in order to get it. And I want my last run. And there'll be a bit of doubt because everyone will be like, oh my God, they might actually just fucking give it a Goldberg and give him the briefcase. Because of course there's that doubt. But if Big E wants a match with Goldberg as well.
No, it would be two big guys. It'd be entertaining as heck.
That'd be great. It's a marquee match on your show, but it doesn't have to hurt your title picture. It just puts over Big E as actually he is the new dominant force in wrestling. He's disposed of the old one. He's retired the old one. And he's even inherited his move off him. He can even have the jackhammer because the jackhammer's still a great move.
Yeah,
going back my greatest finishes. Jackhammer's still up there.
I mean, like,
there you go. There's my 5 matches: Cena versus Cesaro. What was it? Edge versus Kevin Owens. Goldberg versus Big E. And then your 2 title matches: Lashley versus Keith Lee. Rollins versus Reigns. If you're telling me that's a less interesting SummerSlam than what they're currently booking, I'd like to know why.
I think it's intriguing. It's just
so you can still book.
I just go back to reality.
My end point is you can book legends, and legends being on the show is not a bad thing. But you need to book your legends to make new stars rather than at the expense of the current ones.
Exactly. It's unfortunate, and again, like I said, I do think money talks, but I guess we'll see what happens.
I don't think that's less of a money card though, in terms of general.
No, it's not. It's not. But I'm just saying, like I said, maximize the value and see how many names they can bring on because
I think all they've done is taken the cheap way out. They've gone.
That's what I'm saying.
I just don't want to care. I don't want to put in the.
That's what I'm saying. It's the cheap way out. That's basically what I'm trying to say, and it just summarized from there. It's the cheap way out.
But you can make just as much money in different ways and tell good stories. But they're like, at this point, I think the writing is just too lazy, and that's being my big criticism. Is it's just lazy. It's pure laziness of going. Do we want to build a new star up to the point where everyone's invested in Reigns versus that star or Lashley versus that star, and then we can use our legends to draw in the casual fans as well? Or do we just want to do Reigns versus Cena and then job's done, bingo, I can go out for an early lunch? That's how I feel. It's just not caring. And the Cena promo on Raw told me that. It was pure like Reigns an arsehole. I was like, that's not a compelling storyline. We know he's an arsehole. Why are you suddenly so invested in Roman Reigns? Why aren't you talking about how... And him saying he's not as over as he thinks he is. That doesn't work for me because now he is. He is as over as he thinks he is. He is that guy that the fans are like on board with him being like the top guy now. What he should have been saying is 3 years ago, he wasn't the man. He wasn't there. Now he is. And I want to take on the top dog when he's on the top of his game. That's what Cena should be doing. And he should be building up Roman. Instead, he's not as over as he thinks. He's doing the same promo he did at No Mercy. Was it 2018 or 2017?
Yeah, the same thing.
He's doing that same promo when now it doesn't work. And that's why it didn't work for me. And yet it was well delivered because Cena's not going to deliver a promo badly. But the actual content in that promo did not work for me in terms of that's a compelling story. I
would ask, who do you think wins that match? But I think it's best if we save that in 3 weeks or 4. Okay, Reigns. We'll say in the habit that we'll save it in fuller detail in 4 weeks' time when our SummerSlam predictions. Because once again, it's time to put up the Under the Middle Rope Championship. It's a big 4, so we'll see how that goes. But for now, we're gonna put a bow on that. Again, thanks, Pete, for joining. The tournament was fun. The Money in the Bank obviously turned a lot of heads, but yeah, we'll see what happens the next few weeks. So, of course, this is where we say goodbye to you. Bye, Pete.
Goodbye.
See ya. And then we go right back to me. Once again, like I said, and I said at the top of the show, and I'll say it again, thank you so much for those that voted in the tournament. We had a lot of fun. Money in the Bank is coming on. And of course, now we turn our direction to the biggest party of the summer in Las Vegas, SummerSlam 2021 on a Saturday, weirdly enough. Next week, we are taking a break because this tournament eats you alive. When we come back in 2 weeks' time, we are starting our SummerSlam content on the road to Allegiant Stadium. But for now, all I can say is just that. Thank you so much for watching. Like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, available wherever you get your podcasts. Subscribe to us here on YouTube, please. That would be nice. I'm Jose Taboada, and we will see you guys next week. Have a great one. Oh, sorry, we will not see you guys next week. We'll see you guys in 2 weeks. Have a great one. Bye.